Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Birminology on LettermenRow.com. I am Jeremy Birmingham, joined today by Evan Pryor, one of the country's top 5 ranked 2021 running back prospects from Cornelius, North Carolina. Where is Cornelius in the big picture of North Carolina?
It's right above North Charlotte.
Okay. So you're a guy from the Charlotte area. Another running back from Ohio State, or that Ohio State has interest in from Charlotte, who recently visited, was Will Shipley. I know you guys have an interesting relationship, and I want to, we'll come back to that here shortly. But in the meantime, Evan, you just got home from your second visit to Ohio State. This is the first time you've been on campus for a game with the Buckeyes. What did you see in Columbus this weekend on your visit that was different than your previous trip? What was that? What's the value of that visit, and what do you gain from seeing a game day experience as opposed to a summertime visit like the one you had a few months ago?
With the game day visit, you get to see all the fan base, all 105,000 people. I think they said showed up. It's a different atmosphere when all the people show up. So I think it gives me a different perspective on how the town feels about the football team and stuff like that. So I think, if anything, it helped.
Obviously, I mean, you grow up in North Carolina, you can grow up in Montana, you can grow up anywhere, and you know that Ohio State is a major college football power. But what is is that eye-opening to walk into a city like that and see that sort of affection and loyalty? Because, I know that there's a lot of college towns out there, but was it different seeing it on such a large scale?
Yeah, it was definitely different, for me, especially because I'd never seen it like that. So seeing it like that was huge. It had a great impression on me.
What type of opportunity did you have to sit down and talk with Tony Alford, with Ryan Day? I know these weekend trips, and Ryan Day tried to allude to it earlier in the week, that it may not be a visit where a lot of guys get, FaceTime with coaches. Was that something you were able to work out? And, how did that go? And how is that affecting the relationship or building on the relationship you have with Tony Alford?
I wasn't able to talk with Coach Day. I think he was getting around some other stuff or whatever. But this morning before I left, I got a chance to talk with Coach Alford for about an hour and a half. He just let me know, it's important for us, keep building a relationship. That's why he had me come this morning. We just talked about, football, everything that happened yesterday, my season, stuff like that.
When you watch the Buckeyes in person, I assume you've seen them on TV a few times, but when you watch them in person and you see the way that they're utilizing the running back in the passing game and in the regular, flow of the offense, is that something that you see as a fit for you, or are you looking for something, do you think, a little different?
Yeah, no, that's definitely something I can visualize myself doing, because I classify myself as a all-purpose back, someone you can split out wide or even hand the ball to pick up blitzes. So when you see JK not only getting 20-plus carries here, but he's also getting 8 or so receptions here and there as well. It's something I could definitely see myself doing.
For a player like yourself, I mean, you're from North Carolina. We talked about you've been to Clemson, you've been to Georgia, you've been to Penn State. Your sister goes to Penn State. How do you start to separate the cream of the crop from one another? I mean, you're going to be looking at, a handful of the best programs in the country when it comes down to your final decision. Is there anything that you saw on Saturday and Sunday at Ohio State that, requires more questions to be asked, or how do they stack up with everything they've shown you so far?
I'd say they haven't lied to me this far. Coach Alford tells me how they plan to use their backs and what they do with their offense. And every time I've taken a look, whether that be at home or me yesterday at the game, they've done that. So, he's definitely what he's doing with his backs is great.
How much conversation is there between you and Tony Alford? I mean, I know that people have this question all the time. They're like, they read on websites like ours, LettermenRow.com, or any of our competitors, and they see running back Evan Pryor says he talks to Tony Alford all the time, right? Like, what does that mean in the big picture? What is really all the time?
So just sitting at home on like a Wednesday night, and you get a text from Coach Alford talking about call me or whatever, and we just sit there and talk about maybe what I did on Monday, Tuesday, or how they practice went or whatever, just talking about everything. So just keeping the relationship tight and not only talking about football.
Is it better to not talk about football in that situation, or do you get a better sense for who someone really is? Or would you rather keep focused on the football and that kind of stuff until you're closer to a decision?
Nah, yeah, I think it's more important to talk about things outside of football because everything's always football. So really getting to know someone and finding out about their real life I think is a big part of knowing who they really are. So that's why we always try to keep that in the conversation.
One of the challenges about recruiting, especially for a player like yourself at a position that has successful position coaches like Tony Alford, like Del McGee down in Georgia, there's this conversation, I guess, that eventually those coaches may be up for jobs elsewhere. How do you balance the relationship between a school in general and then the relationship that you have with the specific coach at a place like Ohio State or Georgia? Because you still have a year and a half or a year, I guess, now until you sign a letter of intent. How does the conversation about coaches and potentially leaving for other jobs, is that way into what you think, or how do you balance that, I guess?
So yeah, definitely, when you hear it here and there, it kind of messes with your brain a little bit, but as long as you're building that relationship with that coach, I don't think it matters that much, even if they may go to a different college or whatever, they could offer you at that college, because I feel like relationship is everything. You hear different things about them leaving and stuff. You can go to that college as well, or even if your relationship is strong with the whole college in general, even that coach leaving may not have a big effect on you. You still be able to go to that college and make an impact. So it's really how you can balance this out either way, but yeah, it has a negative and positive effect. Is
it hard to be, people always say it, they're like, well, you're supposed to go to the school, not for a coach. But, the reality is you're talking to one person most of the time. And
yeah.
How do you find a way to learn about the school in general while building a relationship, on the other hand, with just basically one person? Is that something that you have to do, or is that something that your family helps you with, or how do you find that?
Yeah. So, building a relationship with the school, I think that's something I do here and there, but I talk to a lot of the players there, and they say probably about 95% of the time, when you go on visits, they show you all these different type of people, but the person you see on the most regular basis, the person you always talk to, is that position coach. So I feel like that's the most important, getting close in with probably the head coach as well, but more importantly the position coach.
During this visit to Ohio State, did you get an opportunity to sit down and talk to someone like J.K. Dobbins? I assume as a 5'10" running back, you may look at him and be like, whoa, I could be that guy. Did you have an opportunity to meet with J.K.?
Yeah, I shook his hand, said what's up, but wasn't a lot of conversation. It was in the locker room after the game, so I let him get changed, stuff like that.
A little celebrating there.
Yeah.
How important for a player who's considering two schools that are playing against each other, how important is the outcome of a game, or is there something else in the big picture of that game that's more important to watch?
I wouldn't really say big picture, but you're definitely looking at both sides, and how they're using your position. So I'm definitely looking at Ohio State and definitely looking at Penn State, but the evaluating never stops. Just like for them, when they're off the field, evaluating never stops. So it was good seeing both those teams play.
I mentioned earlier you have a unique relationship with Will Shipley. Can you give a little background on how you and Will know each other, and how much discussion has there been with you and Will about potentially teaming up together at the next level?
Oh yeah, I've known Will for a long time. So we obviously played together back in Little League, and we do a lot of these camps here and there together and stuff like that. We travel, see each other at different colleges and stuff like that. So yeah, the conversations popped up before, but we said if it's the right situation and if we both like it, if he ends up liking Ohio State, I'm like, hey, I like Ohio State, then it's not something that'd be turned down or whatever, just because we're two running backs. We both consider ourselves both versatile backs who can also not just be in the backfield but can split out as well. So it's whatever. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Do you guys compare notes? Obviously Will was just at Ohio State a few weeks ago for his first game day visit. You're there for your first game day visit. Does the interconnectivity of the recruiting world and the internet, and for everyone, but then obviously narrow it down to guys like you who know each other personally, How much benefit is there for you to have the ability to just sit down and say, hey, they told me this is, are you hearing the same thing? I mean, is it good for you to know if somebody's, being sold a load of crap, or like, how do you balance that out? I mean, how do you find out like what's real and what's not in that situation?
Yeah, well, that's a part of finding out what's real and what's not, because if you hear two different things, somebody's being lied to. So that's when things get down to who's telling the truth or not. But us knowing each other and talking to each other after visits and stuff like that. Like when he went down for the Wisconsin game, he came back texting and was like, hey, it's a great atmosphere. You should go up soon. They're a really good football team and stuff like that. So, us knowing each other and talking to each other, it definitely helps.
Where are you at in your relationship with your recruitment right now? And I say that because I this is every day for you guys. It's you wake up, you're being recruited. You go to bed, you're being recruited. Are you tired of it? Are you looking for this to be over, or is this still getting? Are you still excited by the opportunities that are happening, the constant phone calls, text messages, etc.? Where are you in this, and how do you see this recruitment eventually narrowing down or ending?
There's no really getting tired of it, because as a kid, it's something you wish for, and thankful for being God and blessing you with all these opportunities and having all these offers. So it's nothing I take for granted or whatever. But I'm also gonna try and be committed by. I think June is my deadline. I want to be committed by then. So I'm gonna start. Even though I released the top 10, I'm gonna start. Kind of cutting it down a little bit more and getting a serious amount of schools. I'm not going to release a list or anything, but just within me and my family members, and just seek at those schools and try to find a college.
Try to knock down all 5 official visits in the spring, or are you looking to have that? A lot of schools do their big final June recruiting weekend in that month. So is it something like, I want to have it set up to be done by the time you go potentially to the opening or an event like that, or is it like I'm looking forward to an event like that so that I can have a big reveal day, or what dream scenario? How does this play out for you? Do you send out a tweet? Do you have a pet pig or something that you put a dress on? How does this work?
Yeah, no, but so dream scenario is I'm at the Adidas All-American game and I get to choose there, but starting this spring when I take officials, it's kind of open reign. If I feel like it's the right moment and I'm at a school and I'm saying, hey, this is home, that's when I'm going to do it. So, but if by that time or if it's closer to that time and I find a school and I'm in the All-American game, I'm going to try to do it there. But definitely whenever I get that time and that feeling that place is home is when I'm going to do it.
Were there any of the Ohio State commitments in the class of 2020 or the class of 2021 that you hung out with this weekend? What was their message to you? How do they recruit you? I mean, is it something where people are backing off, or are they, kind of being aggressive?
I was with Jacoby Cowan. He's a 2020 commit. He's from Charlotte. His message is just, not only that he's saying they're the best team in the nation, but also he's saying, it's not a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. And Ohio State is great for that. It's a meaningful degree. And you see all these people from all around the world on ESPN, stuff like that, who went to Ohio State and got a great education, or people in the NFL who played 4 to 3 years at Ohio State. So he said it's a lifelong decision and you're tied in with a whole bunch of people. And he just said it's a great overall decision. And he wants me to be a part of that.
Who made the visit with you?
Just me and Pops, me and my dad.
Was that his first time on campus?
No, he came down this summer as well. Yeah.
What was his impression, I guess? I mean, I just saw him walk in the background. I don't want to have you necessarily speak for him, but what, is there a discussion on the way home of saying, okay, they did this and this was surprising, or we didn't expect this, or, what is the main takeaway from this trip, and what's the plan for getting back?
We definitely talked about JK's 33 carries. He was saying, he liked how they lean on their backs like that. And, even Master T got in there some, how they lean on their backs and depend on their backs like that. And, that's something I definitely look at as well, me being a running back. So, we think it's a great situation for a running back.
Is it safe to say Ohio State's going to be on the receiving end of one of those official visits, or is there a plan to get back to Columbus before then?
Yeah, no. So I'll be down in March, and then Coach Alford said down in March, we'll start figuring out official dates and stuff like that. Because I think April 15th is the date we can start taking officials. So
I think that's the weekend of the Ohio State spring game as well. So for next year. So listen, Evan, I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's a Sunday afternoon. You've been in the car all day, and I know that you're probably ready to unwind and put the weekend behind you and chill out. So I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you taking this time to join Birminology on Lettermen Row. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. That is Evan Pryor. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you folks next time.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe below to get the latest videos from Lettermen Row.
We got Letterman Live, we've got the practice report, we got rapid reaction. Hey, and you know we got Buckeye Q with Zach Bourne.
For sure. We got recruiting breakdowns with Birm. We got whatever you need. Ohio State football and Ohio State athletics.